Okay, now the review for the first assessment over ratios and proportions. This is standard 3. There's 6 standards in the semester. Okay, now you're solving for x, and there's no operator with x, so you can just cross multiply and divide. You can take negative 3 times 3 and divide that product by 2. And that comes out to negative 4.5. So x equals negative 4.5. Number 2, solve for the variable again, but this time you got 2 x's and there's operators with the x. So we need to use the A, B, C, D cross product. So I know that A times B is going to equal C times D. So A is 2x plus 1 and B is 4. I know C is 5 and D is x plus 2. That's a 1x plus 2. So I need to distribute 4 to both these, and that's going to be 8x plus 4. Then I distribute 5 to each of these, and 5 times 1x is 5x, and 5 times 2 is 10. Now you got x's on opposite sides, so you need to balance. So you're going to take away 5x. That gives you 3x plus 4 equals 10. Now x being multiplied by 3, but we have to minus the 4 first, so that's 6. So 3 times x equals 6. Then I divide by 3, and I find out that x is equal to 2. Okay, number 3, what is 25% of 144? There's 2 ways you can do it. One way is with proportions. So the percent, and then is over of 25%, and I go find the word of. So after of, it says 144. And that would be what goes here. And then x should be the is, because I don't have any numbers. I like to fill in my percent, then my of, then my is, and that's the easiest way to do it. So I cross multiply and divide. 25 times 144 divided by 100, 36. So 36. Now, if you prefer the other method, what means x? Is means equals. 25% is 0.25. Of means times 144. And you multiply those, and it's 36. Pick one way or the other and be consistent with it. 80% of what number is 20? So the percent proportion, I have 80%. After the word of, it says what? So x is of, and then 20. Then I cross multiply and divide. 100 times 20 divided by 80 is 25. Okay, now if you like the other method, 80%, you write 0.8. Of means times. What means x. Is means equals 20. And I would need to divide both sides by 0.8 on that problem, and that's still 25. Number 5, what percent of 36 is 96? This is going to be a weird answer, actually. Okay, now this one I don't know the percent, says what percent, so that's x. After of, it's 36, and then is 96. So I'm going to take 100 times 96 divided by 36. I get 266. I'm going to round that to 267%. Okay, if you like the other method, what percent is x? Of means times. 36. Is means equals 96. So divide by 36. 96 divided by 36. Now, since you're finding the percent, those of you who use this method, you need to trace the decimal twice to the right. So 1, 2, that'd be 266 or 267%. Okay, similar polygons. Find the length of side x. The two triangles are similar. So x on this triangle matches up with what side on the other triangle? 14. So it's x over 14. And then 8 matches up with 10, so it's 8 over 10. It's got to be like that if you're going to go x over 4. X is to 14 what 8 is to 10. So you cross multiply and divide. 14 times 8 divided by 10 is 11.2. Okay, number 7, convert 4 meters to feet. 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. I'm going to use proportions for this. And I know that the ratio, I know that 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. And then keep your units in the same order. That's 4 meters. So I don't know the feet, so that's x. So I'm going to cross multiply and divide. So 3.28 times 4 divided by 1 is 13.12. Okay, now some word problem solving. A student can read 7 pages of a book in 10 minutes. How many pages of the book can the student read in 30 minutes? So pages is the answer. So I've got minutes and pages. So x is defined by the time, and y is the pages. So pages per minute. Now, they didn't tell me that. I mean, if I wanted to, I could divide 7 by 10, but I'm not going to because since they didn't give me that, there's probably a reason for it. So minutes and pages. Now, if you know one ratio is 7 pages, 10 minutes. So 7, 10. Now, if you read for 0 minutes, how many pages would you get read? 0. So that tells me I can go ahead and use proportions to solve it. Remember to put your time unit in the denominator. Min. Okay, so we're finding the pages. That's the answer. So the pages are x. Or you can put x. It doesn't matter the letter you use. Okay. All right, now the ratio I know it took 10 minutes to read 7 pages. So 10 and 7. And in this problem, we have 30 minutes. So cross multiply and divide. So 7 times 30 divided by 10 equals 21. Okay, next, Chad and Jack are painting a house. Chad can paint one house in 6 hours. Jack can paint one house in 5 hours. These guys want to paint 2 houses for the day. How many hours will it take? You're finding the hours. So hours and houses. The time unit's the x and then y. So per houses per hour. Okay, they did not tell me the houses per hour. Now I need 2 tables here because there's 2 people. So hours, houses. Okay, now we have one house in 6 hours, so 6 hours for one house. Now I'm pretty sure if that guy paints for 0 hours, he gets none of the house painted. The other guy's one house in 5 hours, so 5 hours, one house. And if he paints for 0 hours, he gets none of the house painted. So that means I'm going to use proportions to get my answer. Remember, put your time unit in the denominator, please, or this will not work. Now, hours is the answer, and hours is defined by x, so x. And then they have to get 2 houses painted together, so 2. Now, I'm going to need 2 ratios on the other side because I'm going to use these tables. So 6 hours, 1 house. So 1 house, 6 hours, and then 1 house, 5 hours. So I'm going to add 1/5 plus 1/6, and I get 11/30. So it's 11 over 30 equals 2 over x. Cross multiply and divide. 30 times 2 divided by 11, 5.45. So I'm going to put 5.5 hours, about 5.5 hours, about. Okay, next one, number 11. There's 2 ways to do these 2 problems here. Pick the way that best suits you. A Town's population has increased by 5%. By then, its population was 12,500 people. That's the new. How many people were in town before the increase? So if you're going to use the percent proportion, you see 5%, but it increased. So I need to change the percent. 100 plus 5 is 105. So since I changed the percent, other than what I was given the problem, it's new, original. And 12,500 people are my new, and then X is the original. So I'm going to multiply and divide. 100 times 12,500 divided by 105. Okay, I got 11,904. I'm going to round it up to 11,905 people because we're talking people here. We can't put decimals. Okay, now if you prefer the other way, the equation part, it's original multiplied by the percentage after it's been changed, added to 100, of course, then new. Okay. All right, so original 12,500 is the new, so that's where that goes. I don't know the original. That's my answer. Then my percent, well, again, it's 100 plus 5 is 105, so it would be 1.05, and then that would be dividing. I'll just divide both sides by 1.05, kind of see through all the stuff I wrote down. So 12,500 divided by 1.05, 11,905, same as I got over there. So they both work. Okay, number 12, I spend 20% of my paycheck on groceries. If I make $3,000 in a month, how much of that will be spent on groceries? Okay, so percents. Now, this time I don't have like a word circled, like increase, up, down, added, subtracted. So I just use the percent in the problem. So this is not a changing percents problem. So then it's part, whole. Okay, part over whole. Now you need to define your part. The part is defined by groceries. Now, it says $3,000, but I'm not spending that on groceries. So that's not the part, that's the whole. And then I'm finding the part myself. So 20 times 3,000 divided by 100, and that's 600. $600. Okay, now if you prefer the equation, it's whole multiplied by the percentage equals the part. You still need to define the part with groceries. So 20%, so that's 0.2. I'm not going to change the percent like I did on this one. 3,000 is the whole, and it's not the part you spent on groceries, so it's 3,000, and that's X. So 3,000 times 0.2 is 600, just like I got there. So they're both effective. Both of them are good. Not one's better than the other. It's just about your preference. Number 13, 1/5 of the clowns in the circus had red noses. If 40 clowns had red noses, how many clowns are there? Again, that's pretty much one way to do this. Fraction is part over whole. Okay, now red noses defines the part. Did 40 clowns have the red noses? Yup, sure did. So I'd be finding the whole, how many clowns there were total. 5 times 40 divided by, it's 200. Okay, then our last problem on proportions and ratios. 2 cars travel for the same amount of time. One car averages 70 miles per hour while the other car averages 60 miles per hour. If the faster car travels 140 miles further, how many miles did each car travel? Now this is a distance, speed, time problem. I can see that. So I'll be making this. Give yourself a little more room than what I did here. Okay. So 1 and 2, and then speed. Remember, if I don't, distance and time. Okay. Now, distance, speed, if I don't know it, I have d over t. If I don't know the distance, I have s times t. If I don't know the time, that's d divided by s. Okay, the speeds I know I've got 70 and 60 miles per hour is the speed. Distance is miles. It says 140 miles, but nobody just went 140 miles. One went 140 further than the other. So what I do about that is the slower speed is x, the faster speed is x plus 140. The time is distance over speed. Because I don't have a time, I can just put in like 5 hours, so I need to use this. So for this car, it went a distance of x plus 140, and then a speed of 70. This one, a speed of x, and a distance of x, and then 60. Okay, set them equal to each other. So x plus 140 over 70. And the reason I've set them equal is because it says they traveled for the same amount of time. So these times are equal. Each of these ratios can be formed into a proportion. A, B, C, D has to be used. So A is going to be x plus 140, and A times B, C times D, times 60, and then C is going to be x times 70. Now I'm going to put 1s in front of the x's. These are not like terms, so both of them have to be multiplied separately by 60. So that's going to be 60x plus 8,400. Then that's going to be 70x. So these x's are on opposite sides, so minus 60x minus 60x. So 8,400 equals 10x, and then I divide by 10, and that gives me 840. Okay, so if I know this went 840 miles, then the other one's 840 plus 140, which is 980.